And in today's video we are going to be looking at the Pentest framework. Now again, this is something that a lot of people requested, and more similarly this is one of the most requested videos of 2018, so I decided why not showcase it, and rightfully so. It is a fantastic tool and I'll explain why. So you're probably wondering what I'm doing on Ubuntu and why I have Metasploit opened up on Ubuntu. So that might be a question on your mind, and again, rightfully so. This is all in this is all in correlation to the Pentest framework. So you might be asking yourself, well, what exactly is the Pentest framework? Well, the Pentest framework is used to create a similar or familiar environment for pen testing on different distributions. These different distributions involve and are not limited to Debian-based distributions and the Arch-based distributions as well. And the Pentest framework is considered to be the deployment of a pentest environment on any of these distributions. Alright, so you might be a little bit confused and you might be wondering, well, why is this important, and is this just another one of those script kiddie scripts? Well, the truth is it isn't. In fact, the Pentest framework has been used by almost all pen testers to configure and to set up or deploy a distribution and configure it specialized, or to configure it in a certain type of specialization for penetration testing. And more often than not, I've seen it used by pro pen testers to set up their own virtual servers and for deployment on local computers. And the key of the Pentest framework is to be as efficient as possible. And again, you can see I've configured the Pentest framework on my Ubuntu machine right here, or my Ubuntu host, and I can do the same for a virtual host or virtual private server, for example one on the digital ocean, etc. You get the idea. I can even deploy a simple Debian installation on Amazon Web Services, and with the Pentest framework I can install all the tools that I really need for my penetration testing environment. Alright, so let me just open up the GitHub page here, which will be in the description section. So if you look at the Pentest framework, this all credits go to the publisher, which is TrustedSec, and the authors of this framework, which again, as I said, is really well known in the penetration testing industry. So you can see that the Pentesters framework is a Python script designed for Debian, Ubuntu, Arch, Linux based distributions to create a similar and familiar distribution for penetration testing. Alright, so essentially what this is doing is giving you all the tools that you need for penetration testing, or the tools that you need for penetration testing on any distribution, and it allows you to update, to install them, update them, and keep them up to the latest deployment. Alright, so you can see that as pen testers we have been accustomed to the pentest directories, which it will do for you. It will install the pentest directory for you, and you can see that we have those two go-to tools that we use on a regular basis, and using the latest and greatest is important. PTF attempts to install all your penetration testing tools, the latest and greatest, compile them, build them, and make it so that you can install, update your distribution on any machine. Alright, so essentially this framework is designed to make sure that your penetration testing tools, whichever ones they may be, you can customize what you want to install, are kept up to date and are ready to go even if you update your distribution, your kernel, etc, etc. Alright, so PTF simplifies installation and packaging and creates an entire pen test framework for you. Since this is a framework, you can configure it and add as you see fit. Alright, so you can see that you can customize and configure everything from the tools you want to install to when these tools are updated. Alright, so the thing I like about this is it's extremely well designed, and it really cuts out all the clutter. In addition, it is literally every pen tester's go-to script when setting up a host, especially one being not a penetration testing environment. Alright, so as I've said, you can configure it to your liking, and you can configure where you want the pentest folder to be installed or to be created. Now in my case, or in the default case, the pentest folder will be created in your file system right here, dependent on the user. But you can see if I open up the pentest folder, I've installed the exploitation modules as of right now. So you can see I've installed burp And if I open up burp, you can see it launches burp there. We have exploit DB, the fuzz bunch, metasploit as well. I'll show you where metasploit is located. As you know, metasploit is located in the OPT folder, which is installed for us right here. But the question you might be having on your mind is, alright, metasploit works, but what other tools are there? Well, the truth is, all the other tools that you really need are all there. Now, I have cloned the repository on my desktop here, and I'll show you how to get it installed. It's really very simple. But before we do that, if you open up the config folder here and you open up the ptf.config file, this is where you can customize everything in regards to how you want PTF installed. So you can see you can change the base install path, the log path. You can change or choose whether you want the auto update on, and you can go ahead and look at all the tools you can ignore in terms of updating them. So you can see you have the fuzzbunch.py and the dev test. So you can go through all of the modules that you want to ignore in terms of updates, and you can essentially customize how you want it to be installed. So installing it is really very simple. So let me just close this up, and if I open up my other terminal here, which is let me just browse to my desktop. But if I was to list the files, sorry about that. In fact, why I'd created another terminal over there is because I wanted to demonstrate something. So let me just open up another terminal here, and if I was to change into my desktop, and let me just minimize this for a second. So let me list the files there. So cd, let's change into PTF, and if I list the files in there, so to launch it, you can either use Python 2 or and type in PTF, or you can choose to launch it with the PTF command right here. Now, once you do that, it's going to start the installation process. Now, do note that it's not going to install any of the tools for you. That's why I'm here. I'm going to show you how to understand it and how to use it so that you can deploy your pentest environment really quickly and efficiently. Okay, so there we are, PTF. Now I've installed it, so which means I can simply launch it by typing in PTF. So let me just clear that up. So I can launch it by typing it PTF. And there you are. Now it's going to tell you need to run it as root. That's why I should have sudoed it. So sudo ptf, and it's going to prompt me for my password like so. And there we are. It's going to try to update the framework. If there are any updates, it's going to update them. And there you are. Welcome to the Pentest Framework. All right. So also known as PTF. And as you can see, it is a project by TrustedSec and is written by Dave Kennedy. So all credits go to him. And you can visit their website right there. So as you can see, the easy way to get new and shiny total modules, you can essentially install any pentest module or framework from here. Now, you will be greeted with a command line here that is very, very customized to suit one that is like Metasploit. Alright, so let me explain what I mean. So the interface or the shell is going to be very similar to that of Metasploit. So you can see it's going to give us this prompt here with PTF, so a shell. And now if we type in the help command or the question mark, this is going to give us our help menu. And as you can see, available from main prompt, we can show the modules. We can show the modules that are installed, but I'll show you how to show all the modules that exist. Inside the modules, we can show the module options. We can run the module from here. We can then use the back, help, exit, pretty standard with Metasploit, and then we can update, upgrade, or install any of these modules. Alright, and we can run them from here. But as I showed you, we can easily launch and they will create the shell shortcuts, which means if I typed in MSF console right here, it's going to start Metasploit. If I typed in etacap and I've installed etacap, it's gonna launch right from any terminal. Okay, so it will make sure that you can launch any of the tools directly from the terminal. Okay, so let's start off with a simple one. Let us show the modules that we can install. Alright, now as I've said, I've installed a few of the exploitation ones that I find useful, and these are all the modules or tools that you can install. Now you can see there are a lot, and pretty much every tool that exists on any pentest distribution exists here. So for example, you have etacap, you have exploit DB, which I've installed. Let's see what else we might want to install. We have betacap. Let's see what else can we install here. Let's look for something that I wanted, that I find really helpful, which I did see right now. I was looking for it right here. If I don't find it, I'll just go and install another tool, but it should be here anyway. SSL, nope, that's not what I'm looking for. We have Nikto, and we have Nmap as well, so we can install that, but I don't want to do that right now because some of these tools are really large and installing them really depends on the speed of your internet connection. Yeah, let's get the harvester, which is an information gathering tool that essentially gathers emails, subdomains, etc. So what you need to do is, it's very similar to Metasploit. So you copy the module, or in this case the tool that you want, and in here we type in use and we can paste the module name in there. So once we hit enter, you can see like Metasploit, it's going to select the tool there, and then we can select show options, and in here what you can do is going to show all the options that you can change and the installation type. So by default it's set to Git, which I prefer because it gets the repository, it gets the repository file and then installs from there. Okay, so what we want to do now is we can run a few commands. If we had it already installed, we can hit update, but we need to install it. So I'm going to type in install. And as you can see, it's going to start preparing all the dependencies for the module. That's one thing that I really like, is it will set up all the dependencies you need to install this tool, and it will do it automatically for you. Automatically from here, everything will be done for you. Now, you might be asking, well, how does this make it really efficient? Well, the first thing is it lists all the tools that you could ever want and need, which means you can customize your environment to whatever you do. So for example, if you're a network penetration tester, it'll do it for you. And as you can see, the harvester is installed. All right, now if I just go back, and you might be asking, well, what do I do if I want to update? So you can choose to update all of the installed tools that you have, and you can specify their module type. So if it's an exploitation tool, you can select exploitation, information gathering, etc, etc. So what do I mean? Let me just clear this up. If you want to update all the tools that you have installed, what you can do is use the modules, and in here you can specify the type of module, which can be an exploitation tool. So I can say select exploits. So I can say exploitation. And I already have exploitation tools installed, so if I want to update them, so I can say install or update all. So I can say update all, but now you can see that if we get the error that update all is not working, means we have not installed every tool in exploitation, so we need to specify the tool. So what we can do is we can say install and update all. All right, so that's if you're specifying a singular tool. So update all, this means that it will check for all of the ones in exploitation. If you have all of them, it's going to check whether they're running the latest version, and then furthermore it's going to update them to the latest version. So you can see you're about to install update everything in exploitation. So I'm going to hit yes, and you can see you can turn that off if you want to. So now it's going to check the repositories. By the way, as I mentioned, it has its very own repository where it manages all the sources and will get updated regularly. Again, it updates on startup. So you can see it's going to go through all the tools that exist in exploitation, and it's going to check them for updates, and it's going to update them if required. Now you can see we have the framework. There we are. Looked like Metasploit needed to be installed, and the rest are all getting updated as of when they all needed. So again, the advantages of having a framework like this is the ease of deployment on any distribution. Remember, you don't, or you can't install Kali Linux as of right now on any of the cloud services. For example, you can't install it on DigitalOcean, which means you would need to have your own customized Debian distribution. And now with the Pentest framework, that's what many of the pen testers use today, of the VPS services. So what they have is they have their distribution, their base distribution, and then they go about using the Pentest framework to install all the tools that they need. Remember, you don't need all the tools. Most penetration testers are web application penetration testers, so they would install the tools that they use most often, and if they ever find themselves needing another tool, they can easily just install it from here. So again, in my mind, I've used this for a long time, but many of you didn't ask me for this for a long time, and then all of a sudden one or two people, just kept on asking about it. They read about it somewhere and they were asking what it entails too. Can it really work on any distribution, any Debian or Arch based distribution? And the answer is yes. And as you can see, it's currently updating all the exploitation packages or modules or tools for that matter that need to be updated. So that is how to use the Pentest framework for installing, customizing, updating your pentest environment on any Linux distribution, whether it may be based on Debian or Arch. It may be based on the Arch architecture or the Arch distribution. So that is how to essentially install any of the tools that you need and customize your environment. So That's going to be it for this video, guys. If you like this video, please leave a like down below. If you want to support the channel, you can check out our Patreon. The link will be in the description, or it should come up right now. I really appreciate any of the support that you give me on Patreon. And again, you remember, you don't need to support me on Patreon, but if you feel like, go ahead and do so. If you have any questions or suggestions, let me know in the comment section, on my social networks, on my website. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. I'll be seeing you in the next video. Peace.